All right, please let's look up. So for the Hans-Wolff equation, we are also getting it from Michaelis Menten. It's one way of modifying the Michaelis Menten equation. But first, we can decide to, from Michaelis Menten equation, V equal to what? V max S all over what? Km plus what? Plus what? S, right? Now, you can get your Lineweaver-Burk from here, and it will be very easy for us to get our Hans-Wolff from Lineweaver-Burk. So if you know the Lineweaver-Burk equation, you can just write it straight and modify. But for the sake of revision, let's get our Lineweaver-Burk, then we modify it. Now, to get our Lineweaver-Burk, what's the first step? Take the inverse, right? So taking the inverse, we'll be having 1 over V equal to Km plus S all over what? V max S. Now we said this is the same thing as writing 1 over V equal to Km over V max S plus S over what? This was the first thing we started with, so by now everybody should know how to derive this. Now here we said this one can cancel this one, right? So we are left with 1 over V equal to Km over what? Over V max, or to 1 over S, right? Plus what? 1 over V max. And we said this is our Lineweaver-Burk equation. Now from Lineweaver-Burk, we can easily get our Hans-Wolff equation. And to get the Hans-Wolff, what's the first step? What's the first step? Multiply through by what? So to get your Hans-Wolff from Lineweaver-Burk, multiply through by S. So if we multiply through by S, here we'll be having S over what? V equal to what? Equal to S bracket into Km over V max S. I not change anything, right? Plus S over V max. So yeah, this one can cancel this one, right? Is it not? And we are left with S over V equal to what's left here? Km over V max plus S over V max. And you agree with me that if I write this thing this way, S over V equal to Km over V max plus 1 over V max times S. I have not changed anything because 1 times S will still give us this, right? Now, this equation you have here is called the Hans-Wolff equation. This is the Hans-Wolff equation. So you see, this method is shorter. You can just start with the Lineweaver-Burk equation, multiply through by S, and that's all. So from Lineweaver-Burk, if you just multiply through by S, you are done. Now, if we want to compare it to the linear graph equation, this will be y equal to what? C, right? Here cannot be mx because there's nothing you can plot against x-axis here. V max is one value, Km is one value. C plus mx. This means that if you are plotting this graph, your y-axis will be what? S over what? V, right? Your x-axis will be what? S, right? Your intercept on the y-axis will be what? Remember, C represents intercept, right? So we're having Km over V max. Then our slope, M represents slope. Slope will be what? 1 over V max. Alright. So that is that. Can I clean this as so I can sketch the graph? Please write it down. Let me sketch the graph. Then we'll take one. Now, if we are to sketch this graph now, the Hans-Wolff, we'll have something like this. Now, is the slope positive or negative? So is it ascending graph or descending graph? Ascending graph, right? So we'll be having something like this, just like Lineweaver ball. Now what are we plotting against what? We are plotting S over V against what? Against S. Now the intercept on the y-axis is equal to what? Km over what? V max, right? And the slope is what? 1 over V max. Now if that is the case, how do we get this intercept on the x-axis? Remember what I said, keep the intercept constant, so we'll be having Km over V max times the reciprocal V max over 1 times the reciprocal of this. So this will cancel this, right? So we are left with what? Km, right? But since this is the negative x-axis, we say here is what? Minus Km. Minus Km. Alright. So now if you are plotting this, please listen, because everybody can plot this now. In the question, they will not give you S over V. They can give you S, they can give you V. You are the one to calculate S over V. S will be given to you. So after calculating S over V, you use it to plot against S. Then from here, if you want to get your Km, you can get your Km from here. If you want to get your V max, you can get your V max either from here or here. So you can get the slope and you get the V max. So draw this.